Hey, good evening. Tonight we are joined by Chelsey James, who's joining us all the way from Missouri. So you live on a farm out there. What has life been like over the past year?
Well, I think uh, a lot of people can relate to this, but obviously it's been different with COVID and everything. Um, I will say I am thankful for living kind of out in the middle of nowhere because, day to day, my life didn't necessarily change all that much as far as like, I mean, I can go outside and the next the person who lives the closest to me is half a mile away. So um perks of living in the country, I guess. But as far as music, it was tough because one of my favorite things as a musician is obviously playing live shows, and to not be able to do that for the past year has been a struggle, to say the least. So I'm very glad that things are starting to look a little bit better for the rest of this year so we can get out there and play. But I did have a lot of time on my hands to write new music, which I'll be putting out this year. So some good things did come out of it. But yeah.
So you haven't obviously let being stuck at home kind of put you off releasing new music, because you do have a bit of a no nonsense track out at the minute called The Men and the Boys that you released about a month ago, tomorrow almost, isn't it? So can you tell us a bit about the track?
Yeah, so that was a fun one to write. I had the just instrumental bass track from my producer Mike. He had this track, and I was like, oh man, I just love the vibe of that. Like, can I take it and write to it? So he's like, yeah, go for it. So I took it to some friends, and I was like, I don't know what this is going to be about, but I love the sound of it. So let's come up with something. And Orrin Thornton, one of the writers in the room that day, he was like, well, I was kicking around, you know, the saying, what separates the men from the boys. It's like kind of going in that direction. And I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is going to be about. So I just thought back to my college days, hanging out with my girlfriends. Where I'm from, we have a lot of country themed bars around town. So I just thought about all of the nights we'd go out and to these country bars, and there just seemed like there was just a sea of, these fake country boys dressed the part, but didn't really act the part in real life. And it's just, so it was kind of my take on that and how a real man is and acts and everything. So it was a fun one to write for sure.
So it's been getting some pretty good streaming numbers already. I say even only a month old. What kind of response have you been kind of getting from people?
Yeah, it happened so fast. I was watching it just a couple hours after release, and it was just jumping and jumping every day that I would look, and I was so excited about that because I think it's such a unique sounding song in the country world right now. So I think that's partly probably why it's getting such a good response, is because someone listens to it and they're like, oh, this is not like anything I've heard, because I really throw in a heavy rock sound to a lot of my music. And, there's just not a ton of that out there. So I think it just kind of catches attention that way. And plus, when we were writing it, I did go into it thinking, okay, I really want to write something that both men and women can listen to and enjoy. And that's kind of hard to do as a female in country music sometimes, getting the male audience to listen, enjoy and listen to what you put out. But I think we actually were able to do that with this song. And I think that's helping it as well, because women can listen to it and think, oh yeah, I know exactly what the kind of guy that she's talking about. And men can listen to it and hopefully they're like, oh yeah, I'm the man in the song. But, or they may be like, oh shoot, I think I'm the boy. But, so I think that has helped it a lot is, it, people on both sides of the aisle can listen to it and kind of relate in some one way or another. And it's just, the music is super fun too. You can kind of jam out to it. So
it's not out yet, but you have recently filmed the music video for it. How good was it to kind of be back with the band all in the same room? Did you kind of start to have that live set feeling doing that?
Oh, the music video was so much fun to film. A lot of my friends were actually the characters in the video. So that it just, I mean, the whole day, you know, and the band was there. So it was just like getting to hang out with my friends all day. We filmed at a big club in Springfield, Missouri, and had the whole place to ourselves for the whole day. And it felt really good because I kind of feel like the timing with this song, this video coming out, you know, I'm starting to book a lot of shows. So it's kind of like my, hey, I'm back kind of video for me. So, but it was we kind of have the storyline part of the music video that we show. And then we've got like the rockin' live band scenes too. So all of it was so much fun, and I'm so excited for everyone to see it. I think, you know, you might even get a little laugh out of it too. So
now, you've only got obviously a few tracks released so far, but you've really built quite a following really quickly in that time. What has it been like to kind of watch, you say about the numbers going up on the tracks, on the video watches? What's it been like seeing that?
Well, it's just the growth that I have seen recently has just been like, I mean, overwhelming and amazing. And I think a lot of that has to do with my first single I put out, Hands on the Bible. You know, I put that out at a time we were kind of in the thick of the pandemic, and the message of the song, I think, really spoke to people and caught a lot of people's attention when, and the video as well, when everyone was spending a lot of their time online. And, you know, I have seen a lot of growth from that. And, you know, it ended up, I think we're somewhere in the 80s as far as country radio chart here. So, which is really awesome because my goal was top 100. So we definitely hit that goal. So, you know, that's that song being played all over the country, and I think people really connecting to that. And then I think I was able to capture a certain audience with that message. And then here I am putting out Men and the Boys, which is kind of a totally different thing, but is very me. So I think I'm getting maybe another type of audience's attention from that, which, you know, I do have a style, but I also like all different kinds of music. So I hope that I can continue to put out songs that don't just, you know, attract one kind of audience. You know, I want to put out music that everybody loves. So yeah, I'm so thankful for every single new follower I get though, because, you know, I've definitely started from the bottom, just like everyone else, you know, whether it's their career or they're following a dream or whatever. So any follower I get, any new follower, I'm just so thankful. And I'm definitely focusing on filming and writing so I can put out as much content to all of these new fans that I possibly can this year, because they deserve it. So yeah.
Now, with so much obviously being done online, what kind of connection have you been able to build with the followers by having to do everything through social media?
You know, with COVID the past year or so, I really had to kind of adapt. And, you know, playing live shows takes up a lot of time. So there's a lot of planning and rehearsals and everything that goes into that. And not having that, I actually kind of had to shift my thinking of, okay, well, now what do I do? Because for me, being in a room with people is, and singing to them on stage is how I connect the best. And for me, you know, my online presence is, I would say, as far as connecting with people, that's just not who, like, as a person, it's easier for me to connect with people in person. So I really had to think about that. Like, okay, now what do I do? Like, I still want to connect with my fans and my followers. So I kind of had to learn how to be really good at social media, because honestly, it never was a very strong suit of mine. So I'm thankful that I was kind of forced to do that, because now I think, I've gotten a lot better at it. And there's some people online that I may never see in my lifetime at a show or whatever, even when we do start playing shows. So I've really learned the importance of that. And I think, like I said, although the pandemic has obviously been tough in a lot of ways, I've learned a lot coming out of it. And that's definitely one of those things. And I have been so busy from the start of this year filming all kinds of things, because, I realize how important it is to let people see what I'm doing, even if it's not at a live show. So I've been filming like crazy so I can get some things out for people online to see. And I love interacting with people on social media now. It's just so fun. But yes, lots of videos to come soon for all those online watchers.
So as you see your followers go up, obviously, the first release has got over 100,000 streams on Spotify. Does it start to get a bit tricky now when it comes to thinking about what song you want to release next?
Yes. Sometimes I try not to overthink it too much. I usually know when it's the right time to put something out. Like if I go into the studio or whatever and I write something new and it just is like a masterpiece in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I need to get this out. Like, it's just one of those things that just kind of hits you. But I will say I do try and strategically, if I can, I don't want to put out too many slow songs together or too many upbeat songs in a row. So I am trying to kind of do either or. So, I just released Men and the Boys. That's obviously super upbeat, kind of rockin' song. And my next single, it just happened to work out that it's kind of more of a ballad style, but I love the song so much that probably no matter what it sounded like, I would put it out next anyway. But it's kind of a ballad. It's kind of I wouldn't say a love story, but it definitely kind of talks about, that person in my life to me is obviously my husband, but whoever the steady person in your life might be. So it kind of talks about relationships and is kind of a love ballad. So, and then the next one after that's going to be kind of another rockin', heavier, fun song. So I am trying to do that. But at the same time, I am an independent artist. So I luckily kind of get to just do what I want, and there's no rules, which can be nice sometimes. And like last year with Hands on the Bible, I knew that I needed to get that out immediately just because of what we were going through. So it just depends. Like I definitely think there's a right time for sure for every song, but on the other side of the coin, if you try to guess what people want to hear next, or what's going to hit, I mean, you'll probably always guess wrong anyway. So I try not to overthink it too much, but there's some planning that goes into it.
Now, I understand you started singing in a cover band when at college. Is that right? So do you remember your first kind of live show?
Oh, I will never forget. I'll never forget that night, because it was the most terrifying night of my life, probably. I fell into this quite randomly. My friends in college heard me sing to the radio, like I thought I was singing to myself, but they overheard. And so they would force me to go to karaoke bars. And so, I kind of had performed at karaoke bars here and there. And so I eventually joined this cover band, and I'm getting excited for the first show, and I peek out around the stage and the place is pretty full and we're about to go on. And I'm like, then it just hit me. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have to sing for 2 hours and not mess up. Like, how is that even possible? So I was so terrified. I could barely get on stage for one. And for two, I was like, okay, well, just get through this show and then you never have to do this again. You don't ever have to feel like this again. So I did end up getting up on stage and the whole thing was terrifying. But within the first minute or so of performing the first song, something just kind of clicked and I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is what I'm meant to do. It sounds crazy, but that's truly how it happened because, you know, I never expected to be doing anything like that. And then when I did it, it really did just click. And I was like, oh man, I just discovered what I'm supposed to do. I loved it. The rest of the show was so much fun. And, you know, over time playing more shows, I got more confident and started loving it even more, obviously. But yeah, I was going to quit after that first show. So I thought, and here I am now doing my own solo thing and putting out my own music. So it's just kind of crazy. But yeah, I will never, ever forget that.
Now, obviously, being at college, you're there for totally different reasons for music. What was like the family and friends' reaction when you said, yep, this is the route I'm going to take now?
I'm lucky enough that everyone has always been very supportive of me as far as my family and friends. And I honestly think that their belief in me has carried me through a lot of times when I felt like quitting. Because, you know, they were the ones that were there to pick me up and say, no, you can do this. You're good enough to do this. Like you have to believe in yourself. So I've been really lucky to have such a great support system. And, you know, my parents and my husband and my really close friends, you know, they're literally at every show, front row, wearing my merch. Like I have that kind of support system. And, yeah, it's been amazing because there has been some hard times, especially, you know, the very beginning of the pandemic last year. I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I felt like I was getting somewhere and then here we are and now I have to cancel all my shows. Like this is terrible. You know, am I ever going to get there? You know, anyone who's following a dream or trying to build a business or a career, you have those moments where you're just like, oh my goodness, am I working this hard for nothing? And, you know, luckily I have those people to push me through those moments. And I think it definitely was worth it because here we are, light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I have just been starting to book shows like crazy the past week for, you know, towards the end of summer and fall when they're projecting things to be a little bit more back to normal. And I've got all this great music to put out. So yeah, it's been really great. And I have a hometown show coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm really excited to see everyone at. So yeah.
Now we see you're on our Instagram today and we've seen you still clearly have a bit of a love though for singing some cover songs. Have you got any kind of current tracks that are like your go-to at the minute?
Current covers that I sing? Gosh, so many. See, that's, you know, when I was in college in that cover band, I mean, we would play almost 100 shows a year and just 4 hours of covers. So I am like, I can pull out a lot of them when I need to, but oh man, that's let's see. So I don't know back, I think it was the 90s when the song was released, but Blake Shelton's song, Ole Red, about the dog and the prison story. I do a cover of that and it's always a crowd favorite and it's definitely one of my favorites. And then I like to throw in sometimes to my shows like classic rock covers. So I'll throw in some Journey covers. and some Guns N' Roses sometimes. So those are always super fun. But I would say too, one of the anytime I sing Jolene by Dolly Parton, the crowd always loves that one too. That's always been kind of a fan favorite too. So yeah, I love singing covers. I love kind of being able to like make them my own too. They're just a little bit different. So
now, as you make the move to kind of releasing your own music and your own EP kind of coming up, what artists have you kind of looked to then for inspiration?
Well, a big one for me is Carrie Underwood. I was probably in 6th grade or so when she won American Idol. And I just, at that time I had no intentions of performing ever, but her music, just her vocal always, just amazed me, and it still does. And I really think that her albums are kind of where I learned to sing, listening to her albums and singing them in the car over and over and over all the way through high school. And just the way that she has kind of shaped the industry for females, with her, just that power vocal, and that, she can compete. She's right up there with, the men that dominate the industry. I mean, she can give them a run for their money playing live anytime, any day kind of thing, with the energy and everything that she brings. So I definitely, I try and set that bar there. Like, if I don't know if you have ever seen her live, but it's just incredible what she can do on a stage. The songs that she sings while she's basically running around in heels, like just the energy that she has, like I really strive for that. And I try to push my live shows to my absolute limit, and make them the best that they can be, because I've grown up watching her do that. But any of the females in country music, I grew up listening to Faith Hill and Martina McBride. And again, if you can probably see a trend, that big, powerful, power vocal type of artist. I just love the emotion that they can draw out of a song. And so the ladies of country music, I definitely admire those big 3 legends right there for sure. But of newer artists that I'm really loving, and I feel like, I definitely have a similar style to him, although I feel like he's kind of pushing it even further, and I'm like, well, maybe I can too. Hardy, and he is really doing that rock country mix so well, and I'm obsessed with his new album. But yeah, I love what he's doing as well. So I'm excited to hear more from him. So
now, ahead of the EP coming out, you've had some pretty high praise from producer Kenny Lamb. So how motivating is that kind of while recording and this final sort of build up to the release?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, like I was talking about with my family and friends earlier, I mean, I've also been lucky enough to have the support of some people in the industry, because I feel like even being in the 5 years that I have, I'm like a baby in the music industry. I mean, there's people have been doing this since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. And here I am. I didn't even discover that I could sing till I was 22, really. So it's been nice to have some of that validation and support from people who have actually had successful careers in the industry. Because for me, I'm so new. I'm still thinking, okay, is what I'm doing good? I don't know. I think it's good, but what do other people think? And I have really needed to rely on their guidance and support. And, Kenny and my producer, Mike Bailey, and some of the writers that I've been able to write with recently. So, again, other people's belief in me has really gotten me farther than my own. So I'm very thankful for that. But yes, I could not put out this music without a whole team of people. And I'm so thankful for all of their support. And, you know, it really does. It takes a village to put out a song, and the collaboration of it all. It's pretty interesting to watch from the time you write the song and you have like an acoustic demo to what people can add to it at the end. It's just insane. So I'm very, very thankful to have help from people in the industry that believe in me.
So how is kind of the release for the EP coming along?
So kind of the plan for this year's music releases. So we did Men and the Boys recently, and the next single is going to be, I believe, the first week of June. You know, we've still got the music video for Men and the Boys to put out, along with some other videos that I filmed. And the next single is actually called Steady, and I'm really excited about it. And I believe right along with Steady, around that time, we're going to put out the EP, which will have, you know, the new single, Men and the Boys, and then 2 other songs as well. And then Steady will have its run, and then in the fall we're going to put out another one, and then I hope at the end of the year to put out another single. So, you know, I honestly think after this, putting out this little EP, I'm kind of liking just putting a single out every few months, and I think that's kind of what things are trending toward anyway, with how streaming and everything is working. A lot of people are just kind of letting a single have its moment for a few months and then putting out another one. And I kind of like doing that. So that's the plan. I'm going to put out a lot of new music this year, so I'm excited.
So before we finish, if you could go back 5 years to that first night, playing the cover band, peeking out from behind the curtain, what kind of advice would you think you'd give yourself?
Oh my goodness. Don't be afraid to be yourself 100%. I know a lot of people say that, and it sounds cliche, but it is the most important thing. And and my second piece of advice would be, don't let someone talk you out of being yourself either. You know, I feel like I'm at a place now where I have a lot of support around just who I am as an artist. And I have been allowed to be free and creative and not be afraid to put out there exactly who I am. And honestly, there were times in the past when I let people have a little too much control, and they were telling me, you need to be this and you need to be that. And well, okay, that might work for some people, but if that's not me, you know, I truly believe that fans and audiences can tell immediately when you're not being authentic, and they won't respond as well. Because there is something special about someone putting out something that's 100% genuine and real. And I think that's the place that I am, where I am now. You know, I truly feel like everyone's getting to see Chelsey James as a real person and what my style is, and me not being afraid, oh no, is this going to be too different? You know, not being afraid of that, because honestly, when I listened to those people those years ago, it didn't work out so well for me. So now that I've got the support behind who I am and what my real sound is, you know, it's just so much better. And I feel like everything is growing faster too, because I think people respond when they can tell you're a genuine, authentic person. And another thing is, when you are yourself, you know that you're going to be unique and special, because there is no one who sounds like you. You may have similarities to someone or someone else's sound, but there is no one else that sounds exactly like you. So if you try and copy everyone else, you're just going to get lost in the mix. So you gotta be yourself, and don't let people tell you that, you know, if you truly feel something in your gut, it's probably the right move. So yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Chelsey. You are currently over on our Instagram account as well. And I know I think you're going to be posting acoustic track on there, aren't you, as well, later today? Yes. So if you have not checked out the new track, The Men and the Boys, already, make sure you do so now. Chelsey's social is there at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you give her a follow. So thank you so much for joining us, Chelsey.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'll be, hopping right back on the Instagram stories right after this.
Thank you very much.